Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 4th, and right now we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see the frontal system moving into the Pacific Northwest. It woke me up this morning. A nice steady rainfall here across a lot of western Washington. Just now moving down into western Oregon. You can see that low pressure center moving into western British Columbia. Model's doing a nice job with this frontal system. The European did a little bit better. It did pick up on this frontal system and its precipitation into western Washington, Oregon a little bit earlier than the GFS did. So give that round to the European model. And also today we have gusty winds east of the mountains. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at the extended forecast as well as we go through the video here this morning. So backing up here, you can see that frontal system. I got the Doppler radar and the mid-level water vapor loop overlaid, and you can see that plentiful rainfall coming across western Washington just now, moving in towards the Portland metro as we speak, and the Oregon coastline. So yeah, nice beneficial early season rainfall here. Pretty typical early season fall frontal system. And again, here's the Portland metro just now starting here. And I scroll back towards this morning and you can see it move down across Astoria and then eventually the northern Willamette Valley as we speak. And if we look up towards the Seattle metro, something similar here as well. You can see Seattle right there. And as we scroll on in through, looks about like, what about 5:40 before it started to move across maybe 6 o'clock for much of the Seattle region. Then it spread down across southwest Washington there. So yeah, nice glorious frontal system here on the satellite imagery. And I selected this station here, 3 Tree Point. We've got Seattle Tacoma International Airport right there. And if I scroll in here, you can see it is actually, look at that heavy rain actually right now, 43/100 of an inch of rain. This system's got a lightning detection sensor with it. It does UV index, solar radiation, stores all this data for you in the cloud. You can click on this stuff and graph it out. If I click on that, you can kind of see when the rainfall happened and what the actual intensity of the rainfall was. So yeah, very fun. Highly recommended. If you want to get one of these weather stations, click on the link down below to save 10%. Now, looking at CTAC yesterday, 66, 65 was the average high for the time of year here, and so we were 1 degree above. Actually some nice sunshine out there in advance of this frontal system as well. And you know, today's going to be the first day we have some measurable precipitation, and if you take a close look down here, that says 3.91 inches of rain. We averaged close to 4 inches for the month of October as the mid-latitude cyclones start to get going and start to include the Pacific Northwest this time of year. And then November, we really turn on the water spigot. Now, blowing dust advisory is in effect for some areas of eastern Washington. Periods of visibility could be between 1/4 and 1 mile. 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., I-90, Highway 395, Highway 2, for example, some gusts up to 40 miles per hour, or even a little bit higher here for like Pullman and Lewiston. Look at some of these gusts out there. Spokane, 45. Scattered power outages, maybe some strong crosswinds. Watch out if you're driving a high-profile vehicle across places east of the Cascades today. Washington and Oregon, Idaho Panhandle, Montana as well. And there are red flag warnings here with those gusty winds. You know, some of these up over 40 miles per hour. Watch out for that. These red flag warnings are in effect as we go through the day today. This is for this afternoon through this early evening. And if we take a look at that, you can kind of see where the blowing dust advisories are and where the red flag warnings are. There's Lewiston, there's Moses Lake. You go down here and you go to Burns, Oregon. There's Redmond off to the left there. So taking a look at the high resolution rapid refresh, you can clearly see where the strongest winds are. There's the Cascade Crest, and as you go eastbound, you can see these higher wind gusts. So again, high profile vehicles, fire spread, blowing dust are the threats there for eastern Washington and Oregon. And, you know, just a typical blustery fall frontal system here, and nothing to write home about as far as gusts west of the Cascades for the most part, maybe down the Strait of Juan de Fuca a little bit and some of Vancouver Island. Now, if we back this up here and we look at where we are currently, there goes our frontal system. Then we build a bit of a ridge here, but some of these systems are still going to be moving some precipitation into western BC that may include some of Washington at times as we go through next week. So that's what we're trying to break down right now, because we've got some big model disagreement between the European and the GFS. I'll show you more on that here in a moment. But if we take a look at the European, there is the frontal system, and then you can see the precipitation continuing for western British Columbia as we go on in through Monday morning. Here we go through Monday afternoon. Some of that tries to spread down across Washington Monday night into Tuesday. Not much, but a little bit here. And again, model agreement has been kind of poor on in through next week. So we're still trying to work out these details on what kind of system is coming in here next week. And I also wanted to point this out. If we go through this afternoon, you can see there is a little bit of a chance of a thunderstorm here with some cooler air aloft moving in, mainly with the convergence zone as we go through this afternoon, mainly north of Seattle, probably across Snohomish County. And if we look at the North American model, I want to stop right there. This is about 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and you can see that we are dealing with that that convergence zone here across Snohomish County, trying to push back into the Cascades, and some showers elsewhere as well, but more organized across the Puget Sound convergence zone. And then we put an end to that precipitation as we move on in through tomorrow morning, except for Vancouver Island northbound. Looking at Seattle Tacoma on the GFS, you can see as of last night, pretty good model agreement on the frontal system. Obviously, that is what's ongoing right now. And then you can see these systems out here. These are kind of nebulous looking. They're kind of hazy, looking off into the crystal ball. Some of the ensemble members have no precipitation. Some of them have a little bit here. So, we got some poor model agreement as we go on. Hoping to look for some more clarity in that tomorrow. Here's the European system that's verifying right now, and then the system that perhaps coming in Monday night, Tuesday morning next week. We'll worry about that a little bit more tomorrow. Portland International, something similar here. This is going to be verifying as we go through the day today. You can clearly see that frontal system there on the mid-level water vapor loop and some of the satellite imagery with the Doppler radar overlay. Now, if I scroll off into the extended, this goes out about 15 days in the European. You can clearly see the differences between the GFS on the right and the European on the left. The model agreement, where we have it best here, is across western BC, Vancouver Island, north, some of southwest BC, perhaps picking up some decent rainfall amounts over the next couple of weeks. And if we scroll back and forth here, you can kind of see that we're looking a ways out there, off in towards mid-October. So you want to take this with a grain of salt, and poor model agreement continues to be with us, which is pretty typical here during the fall transition season. And if we look at that 15-day precipitation anomaly, a little bit above average here across western Washington, western Oregon, but the lion's share still going to western BC, Vancouver Island northbound. The GFS paints a different picture. You can see the deficit that it's running here over the next 16 days or so. So that's something we'll be watching. And I'm going to scroll all the way back here. There goes our frontal system across Pacific Northwest right there. Ridge tries to build here, but we're still going to be potentially clipped by some of these systems, with the Gulf of Alaska troughing continuing on through the early portion of next week, and potentially mid and later next week as well. You can see some of these systems still rounding the trough out here, potentially bringing clouds and precipitation into the area. And then, who knows what's going to be happening once you start to look 200 plus hours off into the forecast. But yeah, hoping for some better model agreement as we go through the day tomorrow. So check back then for that. This is what's coming up. So Comet 2023 A3, October 14th through the 24th, western skies after sunset. And as we go later in the period here, off towards the 15th, 16th, 17th, toward the 24th, the comet is going to be getting higher in the sky. And on the flip side, it's going to be getting a little bit dimmer as well. But since the skies will be getting a little bit darker, of course, the later you go on into the evening, you have a better chance to see it. You might need a camera or whatnot to get the best pictures there. But this could be visible with the naked eye as well. So hopeful for that. Looking forward to that. We will be doing some forecasts for it as we get a bit closer as well. We're still you're talking about 9-10 days out as of right now. So, just kind of giving you a heads up on that. And we'll be looking at some different products. You can see the total cloud cover in percentage here on the European as of, actually, let me back this up to yesterday afternoons, because this will go out 240 hours. But if we go out 240 hours, this is October 13th here. So we'll be looking for the 14th to see what is coming. Lots of changes will be incoming here as we go on a day-by-day basis, and check that out. 6 to 10 day, you got some above average here across some of Oregon and California coming up here, kind of near normal for Washington. Lesser amounts here expected, at least below average amounts here across Idaho and Montana as we go through the 13th. And this was issued yesterday here, 6 to 10 day. Look at that above average kind of dominating central portions of the country, including some of the Pacific Northwest. So anyway, yeah, enjoy that rainfall out there. Don't have to water the lawns or anything like that. Mother Nature starting to kick things on a little bit here. And we'll see what that Gulf of Alaska trough is going to do as we move on into towards next week. But yeah, we'll check back on that tomorrow. Hope you guys are having a good day. Otherwise, click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.